Hello everyone and welcome to this video presentation. In this presentation we will work on the first lab of this lesson, in which we will be installing Windows 7. So we'll be receiving the labs as work orders. So as in the work environment you will receive the lab, it will be something that looks like that. So here this is your company name or our company name, and this is the customer information, and that's what needs to be done or what's the problem at the customer computer and so on. So, and there is a reference number that's already assigned to each work order. So in that case, it's L1A1 for lesson 1, activity 1. And then here you will have to put the date that you work on this assignment, on this work order. So here you will type the date, and if you type it wrong, it will give you an error message saying that you have to put the format day, month, year. So let's say you put 01 11 2022. No, 01 11, let's say. Okay, so it will be in that format. And the time, let's say, that was assigned, let's say it's 2 p.m. So we just put 14 column 00. So this is the format that we'll be using. So if we look at this assignment here, this work order, we have to install Windows 7 on a new computer with the following specifications. So we need to create a new computer. That the computer name is PC1-Win7. It has 1 GB of RAM. It has 20 GB of hard disk space. And we have to create a user called admin with the password 01 with capital P. And we have to make sure that the time zone is set to Eastern Time, US and Canada. So once you do the lab, so you follow the procedure here to create your machine, you do the installation. Then in this section here, you have to write whatever you did. Okay, so each time that you do something, if you install, so we will type here installed Windows 7. If you have to create a computer name, so you rename the computer to PC1-Win7. The amount of RAM verified is 1 GB and so on. So you type here whatever you did. Your technician number, you can use your number at school. So you can put your number here, the date that you did the work, you started at what time, you ended at what time, this work order. This in real life, this is how it works in companies. When you do work at the customer, or even if the customer brings his computer in the house in-house to be repaired, whenever it's assigned the work order to a user, to an employee, he will have to use the form similar to this one to fill up the work that was done. If there is any notes that you need to make sure that the customer knows at the end when he receives the invoice, you can put the notes here. This work order later on will be converted to an invoice to the customer. So he will receive the invoice. He will not see the work order. He will see the invoice. Usually the customer, when we start working on the customer, he will put his signature on this work order, and the technician will put his signature here. In our case, you will put just your name. So you will put your full name here. So this way, whenever I receive these work orders, I will know which students did which work order. Okay. Something that is not in real life that I'm going to do here is that you will be filling up some answers here or some forms for me to validate that you did the work. So like here, it says at the end, take a screenshot of the system page of PC1-Win7, which is the computer that we just created, showing the computer name, and paste it below. So you will be doing that, and you will paste the picture here. Since this is a fillable PDF, when you click here on that, you will be given this choice to go browse to the image, that the screenshot that you took. You select the screenshot and it will be inserted in that area here. So let's start creating this installation of Windows 7. So we need to create a virtual machine uh, with 1 GB of RAM and 20 GB of hard disk space. So this is the basic information that we need to do. So we'll go here, we click on new. Computer name has to be PC1-Win7. So that's what we do, PC1-Win7. So it's a Microsoft Windows 7 64-bit. So we click on next. Here we need to put 1 GB, so we'll reduce that to 1 GB or 1024 MB. We will create a virtual disk that will be VDI, which is the default. We don't have to change that unless otherwise specified in the work order. So it's a VDI, and we need it always dynamically allocated. We always use dynamically allocated, and we need it to be 20 GB. So we reduce that to 20 GB. If it's hard to find it, you can just type here 20 GB and click on create. So now that the hardware is configured, I need to go set up some more information. Like in the system here, I don't need the floppy drive. In the display, I will put it to 128. And for now, that's for the storage, I need to go here and insert my ISO file of Windows 7. So I will browse here to my Windows 7 ISO file, insert it here, and then I will start my virtual machine. So here on the first screen, I need to select the language, which is English. The time and currency format, we can leave it at English United States, or we can put it at Canada, but we will leave it at English United States. The keyboard or input method is US. We go next, and now we click on install now. So the first screen that will appear is to accept the license agreement. So I will click on accept the license terms and click on next. Here we have two options. Either we are upgrading an existing operating system, so we will select the first one in that case, or we are using a custom installation or advanced installation. We are not upgrading an existing operating system. We don't have an older operating system on this machine. We don't have Windows Vista or Windows XP, so we cannot upgrade that machine. So we have to choose the second option, which is custom or advanced installation. So I click on that. Then it will look for the storage. So it found one hard disk, which is 20 GB, the one that we just configured before we installed the operating system. By default, if I have more than one hard disk, always the first disk is disk 0. Always we install the operating system on disk 0. So right now it's an unallocated space of 20 GB. So this is the one that I want. I will select that and click on next. Then it will start copying the files to the hard disk and it will start installation. So this operation will take some time. So I will just fast forward the video while it's installing, and then we'll continue after that step. So now it's restarting the first time. When it restarts the first time, it's already finished installing or copying the CD or DVD. So I can eject the CD or DVD. If you noticed on top here, we had a message now that was saying press any key to boot from CD or DVD. We don't want to do that, because if we do that, we are starting the installation from the beginning. So we have this message that appears on top because whenever you boot the computer and it's booting from the first boot order is the optical drive and it has an installation media, it will give you this message. So I can go now safely going to devices, optical drives. I, I can remove the disk from the virtual disk. I don't need the CD of Windows 7 in the computer anymore. So it will not bring me the message on top whenever I boot the computer saying press any key to boot from CD or DVD. So now it's restarting for a second time. Okay, so now we have the first prompt here. It's asking me to enter something. If I open my work order, so on my work order, it tells me that the computer name should be PC1-Win7. And it tells me that the username should be admin with the password01 with capital P. So this question that's asking me here, type a username, for example, John. So the username is admin. This is what is required in my work order. So here I have to type admin. The second field here is for the computer name. So the computer name should be PC1-Win7. So this name is not good. This is the one that's generated by the installation. I need to type instead of that PC1-Win7. So this is the computer name, and this is the username which were required during in my work order here. So I click on next. Now it's asking me to type a password for this user admin. And the password that is required in my work order is password01 with capital P. So this is the one that I will use here. I have to retype the password a second time. And I have to put a hint for the password. In my case, I will put just PWD for password as a hint. I will put next. Now on this screen here, it's for the automatically updating Windows. So I have three options: either use the recommended settings, or install important updates only, or ask me later. In our case, since we are in a lab environment, we don't really need to update Windows 7. So we'll select the option ask me later. Then I have this screen that I have to set up the time, the date and time, and the time zone. If I look here in my work order, it's telling me you have to set the time zone to Eastern Time, US and Canada. Here I have the time zone is Pacific Time, US and Canada. So that's not the right one. So I have to click on the drop down and look in my list here for Eastern Time, US and Canada. So I will see it here. This is the Eastern Time, US and Canada. So this is the right time zone. I would set the right date and time according to what is the right date and time, and I will click on next. On this screen here, I have to set the firewall setting. So the firewall setting, I have three default settings. One, if I'm connected to a home network, so if I'm at home and this is my home network, I will choose the first one. The second one is for a work network. If this computer is plugged into a work network, I will select the second option. And if this computer is, let's say it's my laptop and I'm connected right now to, I'm at a restaurant, or I'm taking coffee somewhere at McDonald's or anything, and I'm connected to a public Wi-Fi, I would select the public network. So this will assign the network firewall settings according to what I will choose. So we will be always using work network for our labs. So now the installation is finished. You will see that it's logging in for the first time with the user admin. That's why we see preparing your desktop, because every time a user connects for the first time on a computer, it has to create its profile. So it is creating right now the profile of the user admin. So once it loaded the profile, I will see that I have my desktop of the user, which is the user admin, which is the logged in user, which is the only user right now. Okay, so this is just to install the operating system, but if I want to maximize the screen of my virtual machine, I see that I don't have the full screen because I don't have the right drivers for VirtualBox. So always when I install a virtual machine, I need to update the drivers or install the drivers that are coming from Oracle VirtualBox. If I go here to open my file explorer, go to the computer, I see that I have my hard disk and I have the CD drive, which is empty. So to install the drivers, it's called VirtualBox Guest Edition CD. And it's a built-in CD. If I click on devices here, I will see the last option, which is insert guest edition CD image. When I click on that, you will see that it will install here automatically. So now I need to install the software that's on this CD here. So if I double click on it, sometimes it depends, sometimes it might open or it might not open. Sometimes it will open in the background, so I will see an icon here at the bottom that's with the name. So right now, in my case, it opens, so I have to click on yes. So you see here, it opens it, but it's in the background. I don't see it. If I minimize this window, I will see it in the background. But it opens it in the background. It's a bug with Windows 7. So if I minimize that, I will follow the installation steps here. I go next, 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 and take all the defaults. I don't have to change anything here. Then here on this window here, I will click on Always Trust Software from Oracle Corporation. Otherwise, it will pop up this window a couple of times. So I will just select that so it will not ask me again. And I will click on Install. After installing this Oracle VirtualBox Guest Editions, I need to restart the computer, the virtual machine, for the changes to take effect. So it shouldn't take long. So now it's asking me to reboot now or reboot later. I will reboot now because I need to see the changes taking effect. So I need to enter the password. Okay, so you see here, it's still not taking the full screen. I need to resize this box and maximize it again. So now I see that my Windows virtual machine is taking the full size of the screen. Sometimes there is some bugs depending on your host computer or your video memory and so on. You see here, I don't see the bar here. Sometimes I need to refresh it to see everything here at the bottom here. Okay. So this VirtualBox installation that I did, it has several advantages. One of them is the video drivers, as you saw. So now I can see that in full screen. But also, if I click on devices here, the last three options here, shared folders, shared clipboard, and drag and drop, these features are not active if the guest addition is not installed. So if I need to copy files, let's say, let me just resize that here. If I need to copy a file from my host computer to my virtual machine. So let's say I want to copy this file and I want to drag it here. It will not work. It will not work because the drag and drop by default is disabled. I can make it host to guest, so I can drag and drop from host to guest, or from guest to host, or bidirectional. Even if I set it to bidirectional, if I had not installed the guest addition, when I drag and drop, it will not work. But since I installed it, the guest addition, now it should work. So as you see, I was able to drag and drop, it copied that here. The other option is shared clipboard. So if I need to copy paste, let's say if I open here Notepad, okay, and let's say I have any document here, let's say let's say I want to copy that, okay. If I want to paste it here, it is not available because two things. First of all, this is disabled by default, so I have to make it bidirectional. And also, I had to install the guest addition. In my case, I already installed the guest addition. So now, if I try to copy, it's not even working. Refresh, did I enable it? So it's not working. And this is one of the things that does not always work, the drag and drop or the clipboard. The only option that will always work is the first one, which is shared folder. So let's say I can share a folder on my host computer, so I can see it in my virtual machine. So I can go devices, shared folders, shared folder settings. Then here I will click on this plus sign. And here on the folder path, I will click on the drop down arrow and click on other. This will browse my host computer. So this screen is my host computer. So if I want, let's say, to share my desktop, so I will select desktop. Okay. So if I click OK, OK, now the desktop of my computer, which are all these folders here, okay, I can see them here. To do that, I will need to open File Explorer, Windows Explorer, go to Network, double click on VBox SVR, and I will see my desktop. So this is the desktop that I have here. I can see it here. So if I need to copy or paste anything from my computer, my host computer to the virtual machine or vice versa, I can use this one. This one will always work. These two, they don't always work. I'm not sure why. So that concludes our presentation. Just last thing, in our case here, we set up the computer name during the installation. So if I click on the start menu here and right click on computer and go to properties, this will open the system page. So the system page, I can see the computer name, which is the right name as required in my work order. So this is the screenshot that I need to take of this screen. I need to take a screenshot and paste it in this document here to submit the work order. So that concludes the video presentation for installing Windows 7. See you on the next video.